G'day everyone, my name's Cam Attree. If you're new to my channel, you may not be aware that I'm actually one of Australia's Elinchrom ambassadors. I've just recently got my hands on the new ELB500 TTL, and I thought before I get out there and give it a test run, I'd do a little comparison between the specs and differences between the ELB400, the 500 TTL, and the big 1200 I've got here. So let's just quickly run through all the major specifications just to see what the differences are. So firstly, with the ELB400, it's actually rated to 424 watt-seconds. The weight of the unit itself, including the battery, is 2 kilos. The head weighs only 250 grams. It will give you 6,000 flashes at minimum power and 350 at full power. Recycle time is a super quick 1.6 seconds. And it has a 2-to-1 asymmetrical output between the A and the B channels. There are actually 3 head options available for the ELB400. There is the Pro head, which is for general photography, an Action head, which gives you a very short flash duration for freezing motion, and the HS head, which gives you high sync when used with the EL Skyport transmitter plus HS, which allows flash sync up to 1/8,000th of a second. Now, if we compare that to the new ELB500, it's rated to 500 watt-seconds, as the name suggests. It weighs 2.48 kilos with the battery, so only slightly heavier than the 400. The head does weigh a little bit more though, at 610 grams. This unit will actually give you 28,000 flashes at minimum power and 400 flashes at full power. And it takes 2 seconds to recycle at full power. It actually gives you full asymmetry between the A and the B heads, and it gives you obviously TTL and HSS up to 1/8,000th of a second with the EL Skyport Pro transmitter, or actually also by using the updated firmware on the transmitter plus HS, which means Canon, Nikon, Sony, Panasonic and Olympus users can all get TTL and HS at the moment. I'm still hanging out desperately for the Fuji transmitter to come through. Hopefully that shouldn't be too far away, definitely this year, fingers crossed. I've been saying that for about 12 months though. There is only one head for the ELB500, which makes things rather less confusing. That head is obviously able to do both TTL and HSS. And the other difference between these two units is that the 500 TTL will give you active charging, meaning that you can run the unit while it's being charged. So moving on to the big ELB1200, it's obviously 1200 watt-seconds. It weighs 4.3 kilos with the air battery, which is what we've got attached here at the moment. And that battery will give 215 flashes at full power. With the bigger battery, which is the HD battery, it weighs 4.7 kilos and will give 400 flashes. So one of the other major differences is the 1200 here uses a much bigger head, which accepts the full size Elinchrom accessories, and that comes in at a weight of 2.2 kilos. The ELB1200 has a recycle time of 1.7 seconds in fast mode, or 3 seconds in its default mode. It has 2-to-1 asymmetry between the A and the B heads, or it does also have a 1-to-1 option as well. Just like the ELB400, there are 3 head options: the Pro, Action and High Sync head. There is also a new ELB1200 dock available for this unit, which allows it to be run off mains power in the studio, which is a really, really handy feature to have. Let's just have a quick look at the head options. So with the ELB400, this is the HS head. Comes with the standard little reflector here with a diffuser on the front. And as you can see, it has a removable cable. Comparing that to the ELB500 head, comes with a much bigger reflector, doesn't include the diffuser though, and it has a fixed cable on the back. So it's important not to try and use one of the ELB400 heads with this unit here, because it is not going to work and could actually damage the unit. So just make sure that you are using the ELB500 head with it. So the 1200 head has the traditional Elinchrom bayonet style lock for all your accessories. Protection cover over the flash tube, and you can see the little yellow LED modeling light there as well. So as I said before, this takes the full size Elinchrom accessories, so there's no need for an adapter. So I've just popped the 400 and the 1200 aside so we can have a bit more of a closer look at the ELB500 TTL. All right, let's plug in the head in the Elinchrom ELB500 TTL, and then we can power it up. So I'll plug it into the A socket here. There is only one way it can go in. There's a little notch on the side, so we just line it up with a little notch on the pack. Push it down and then screw it down so it's sort of thumb tight. All right, just looking at the top panel before we turn it on. Here's our on-off button. So you'll notice when you first turn it on that the indicator blinks. That's because we haven't engaged one of the heads. This is a new thing they brought in on the ELB1200. You just need to press the A button there to match up with where the head is plugged into the A socket, and then it shows our power reading. So to change our power, we can turn the little control dial here and change it in 1/10 of a stop. Or we can use the left and right arrows to move it one full stop either direction. So before we jump into the menu, the other button we've got here is our test button. So it's lit up at the moment. And we've got the modeling lamp up here as well. So just pressing it quickly will turn the modeling lamp on and off. But if we press and hold, we get into the menu for the modeling lamp. So at the moment the mode is free. If we press down on the control dial, it changes to proportional and then back to free again. So in free we can control our output, making the modeling light brighter or dimmer. Down to the minimum 2.3. And proportional is going to increase as we increase our power. Let's just jump back into that modeling lamp menu. So the other option we've got here is VFC, which stands for Visual Flash Confirmation, and we can turn that off or on. I prefer to have that off because I don't like the modeling lamp to dim when the flash fires. We've also got timer on or off, and when the timer's on, we can actually then control how long we want that modeling light to stay on. Bearing in mind that the longer it's on, the more power it's using, so the quicker the battery is going to disappear. So if you're doing a lot of flashes on the shoot with one battery, it's probably advisable not to use the modeling light too much. All right, turn that modeling light off. Let's jump into the menu. And the first menu option is for the radio system. So we've got two options there, Skyport or the Photix Odin 2 as our transmitters. I'm going to leave mine on Skyport because that's what I use. And you've got mode, normal or speed. Again, I'll leave that on normal. So the next one down in the menu is group. So if you've got multiple flashes and you want to allocate them into a different group so you can control them individually, that is where you do it. And finally is the frequency. I usually leave all my Elinchroms on frequency 3, but you can change that up to a maximum of 20. There's 20 different channels there under frequency that you can use. So let's take a look at the next mode, which is flash mode. And we've got an option there for action, on or off. The next one down is photocell, and that's where the photocell is located, just there. So if you want to fire this unit by another flash just firing off, that's what setting you'll need to put that into. And then the last one is recycle time. And if you're not too concerned about it recycling super quick, just leave it on eco. Otherwise, you've got a fast recycle option there as well. So the next one down is our extras. So here we can change the time for auto standby, the auto off, whether we want ready tone on or off, and also a keyboard click. You can have that on or off. And that's what the keyboard click sounds like. I find that extremely annoying, so I'll leave that off. And the last one here is background. So by default it's set to black, but you can actually change that to white as well. And that's what the white looks like. I much prefer the black, so I'm going to go back to that. I just think that looks a lot nicer, it's easier to read. Our last section in the menu here is just info, and that just gives you the friendly name of the unit. The firmware revision, I believe there might be a new firmware update for this available now. And the serial number, lifetime, and the flash count. So that's it for the menu. So one other thing I quickly wanted to just run through was how to detach the battery on the different units, because they are slightly different. So looking at the 500 TTL, we've got these little buttons here on either side of the unit. So they are designed to be grabbed from either side like this. Press in on both and it releases both sides at the same time. There you can see the different contacts for the battery, and it's quite easy just to click that back on. Now that is very similar to the ELB500, except that the design has just changed slightly. So on the 400 we've got that little button in the center there which you need to press. It's pretty much the same design except for the change in the style of latch. Press both sides and the battery comes off. So the 1200 is actually quite different. It's got latches on both sides rather than the ends of the battery. So once those have been unlocked, it's just a matter of grabbing both sides here with where these little raised sections are and pulling on either side, and then the battery is released. So the other difference between the batteries is actually how they're charged. The 500 and the 400 both have a charging socket on the outside of the unit. So when the actual unit itself is attached, you can still charge it up. So the 1200 is a little bit different. It has a charging connection on the top side of the battery here, so that's covered when the unit is actually on, and that gives a little bit more weather sealing as well. Another feature of the battery here is you've got a battery indicator, little button there. And on the 1200 batteries, you've also got a USB socket. And you can actually charge your phone or tablet from that point as well. So the batteries for the 500 and the 400 both also have battery life indicators on them as well. On the 400, it's this little button on the side here, press that in and it gives you your battery life. And the 500 battery, it's this nice little white button here, which shows your battery power indicator right there. So there you go, there's my rundown on the new ELB500, as well as a comparison between the ELB400 and the ELB1200. I'm heading out tomorrow on location and taking all these units with me, and I'll be doing a fashion shoot primarily with the ELB500 TTL, testing the high-speed sync features, and I'll also probably do some shots combining flash with the other units as well for a multi-flash setup. So that video will be coming soon, so stay tuned for that one. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do, and hit that little bell if you want to be notified when the new video pops up. Thanks for watching, and until I see you in the next video, ciao for now.